Welcome to Quilt Remix, where we take a vintage pattern and give it a modern twist. I'm Kelly Bowser, and I'm here today with Nancy Mahoney. Welcome, Nancy.
Thanks, Kelly.
Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a traditional quilter, particularly traditional, but I do a lot of
I don't like to be pigeonholed. You could do anything. You can be traditional one day and modern the next.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I really have evolved over the 30 years that I've been quilting, that I'm not using those dark colors that I used back then, and now I use a much brighter, lighter palette, which really fits with the modern theme.
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you have a website?
I do. My website is my name, nancymahoney.com.
And I heard you've written just a few books.
I have. I've written 14 books with Martingale.
Wow, that's amazing. What's the most recent one? Or what's your favorite one, either way?
Well, my favorite one, and it happens to be my most recent one,
Isn't that always the case? The most
it
recent
is.
quilt or the most recent project
It
always
is,
your
but
favorite.
it's Learn to Paper Piece, and it's a visual guide to teach you how to paper piece.
Which a lot of people struggle with. It's a little hard knowing which side of the paper, is that my sew line, is that facing out, which way is my fabric going? So that's a great, I guess, book to have in your stash there.
It is, and it's really for beginners, but even if you have been paper piecing but struggled with it, it's a good book for you to have on hand.
Right, and you've also designed some fabric, I heard?
I have. I've designed for 2 different fabric companies, most recently with P&B Textiles, and I've done about 20 different fabric lines between the 2 companies.
Wow, that's a lot. Did you have like a consistent theme or colors that you like to work with, or were you all over the place? Or?
Well, most of my collections were 30s reproductions.
Oh, those are so pretty and sweet. Like, I love 30s reproductions for like baby quilts. They always have such cute little prints.
I do too. They're just fun to work with.
Well, Nancy's here to share her remix version of the Album Star quilt by Sherril Harris. And you can find this quilt in the July-August 2017 edition of Love of Quilting. And for my remix version, I kind of inversed a lot of the elements that I saw in the quilt. So I saw obviously the star in the middle, and so I was like, I'm gonna take the star and make that the outside of my block instead of inside in the middle. And I wanted to keep the element of kind of on point, and then there was some square elements too, like the star inside the square. So I just sort of flipped those and came up with my design. And the Sherril Harris's version has some sashing and cornerstones, and I really wanted to see what would happen if you removed those and made the blocks sort of interdependent on each other. And I also really used, in this quilt, I took an opportunity to mix my fabrics up and not just use quilting cottons. I used flannels, and I used some cross weaves and some more textured linen-y type prints, because you're not limited in quilting. You can really use quilting cottons, or like the more vintage quilts, they reused fabric.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Reuse clothing and reuse blankets and reuse shirts. So I really wanted to kind of play around with that idea for this quilt. Nancy, do you want to share a little bit about your version and how you changed up this quilt?
Well, for my version, I also decided to eliminate the sashing and the cornerstones, but instead of putting my blocks on point, I put them side by side. And I created an A block and a B block and reversed the colors within those 2 blocks. And I upscaled them, so I made really big blocks.
Bigger is almost always better. I made really big blocks too. I'm like, let's blow it up. This is going to make fewer things that I have to piece.
Exactly. And I did a pieced border, but it really looks like it's part of the...
It doesn't even look like there's a border. It's more in maybe the technical way it's a border, but visually it does not look like it has a border.
Visually it was to look like it was all part of the blocks. And then I didn't do another border. I just let it go with that.
And Nancy's got a little special bonus project that she's going to share in a later segment with the trimmings from this quilt, which is so great because so often we've trimmed blocks or trimmed edges, and you end up with these scraps or leftover half square triangles or leftover bits and pieces, and she just shows you how to take the leftovers from this quilt and make a baby quilt. It's great. I love it. I love it.
Well, I was using fabrics from Ink and Arrow, and they're directional fabrics, and so in order to keep my fabrics all going in the correct direction, I needed to use a certain technique, which I'll show you later, and that left me with these bonus pieces.
It was such a clever idea, and I love that you brought it with you to show everybody.
Well, thank you. It's fun.
Well, join us next time, and we're going to show my remix version of the Album Star quilt. This episode of Quilt Remix Vintage Pattern Modern Twist is brought to you by Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Tin Lizzie 18, your affordable long arm quilters. Inganero, because fabric should be fun. Madeira, color your life. Aliso Smart Irons, fabric care reinvented for you. And Quilters Select, made specifically for quilters. Furniture for Quilt Remix was provided by Koala, fine sewing furniture custom built for you.